You are born in the middle of a rotting log, squeezed between a dozen squirming, pink, jelly bean-sized siblings. Your mother, an exhausted little marsupial, has just gone through what can only be described as an extreme marathon of suffering to bring you into this world. And congratulations! You've entered one of the worst possible existences nature has to offer. The air is thick with the stench of damp wood and mildew. It's hot, it's humid, and you're blind, hairless, and about as useful as a soggy peanut. You and your siblings immediately begin an all-out war for survival, despite your collective weakness. Why? Because your mother has only 10 teats, and there are 13 of you. Someone isn't making it past this round. So, within minutes of your grand arrival, you are already locked in a vicious, slow-motion deathmatch against your own family. If you manage to latch onto a teat, congratulations, you've secured a temporary lease on life. If not, you are now an unwanted extra, doomed to shrivel up and die in the corner while your more fortunate siblings suckle away. Your mother, completely indifferent to your fate, will just leave your tiny corpse behind like it's yesterday's garbage. Efficiency is key in the Swamp Antechinus household. But don't get too comfortable. You've only won the first battle. Your entire existence is about to be a nonstop horror show of stress, starvation, and hormonal insanity. And the worst part? No matter how hard you fight, your fate is already sealed. Life as a Swamp Antechinus does not get better. It only gets weirder, more stressful, and somehow even shorter. If you've managed to win the brutal teat battle, you now spend the next few months clinging to your mother like a tiny, furry parasite. She drags you around the swamp, doing her best to find enough food to keep you all alive. This is no small task, because she's already exhausted from giving birth to a small army, and now she has to support all of you while dodging death at every turn. You see, everything in your swampy home wants to eat you. Snakes, owls, dingoes, basically anything with teeth sees you as a bite-sized snack. Your mother does her best to avoid them, but let's be real. She's like the Uber Eats of the animal kingdom, carrying a whole buffet of tender, slow-moving babies on her body. It's a miracle she lasts as long as she does. Eventually, you grow enough to detach from your mom and start fending for yourself. This is when the real suffering begins. You are about the size of a mouse, but way more unhinged. Your metabolism is cranked up to the max, meaning you have to eat constantly just to stay alive. Insects, spiders, whatever you can catch, it all goes down the hatch. If you take a break for even a few hours, you start to feel like you're running on fumes. Your whole life is a desperate, never-ending sprint to avoid starvation. But the hunger is nothing compared to the stress. You are a nervous wreck 24/7. Your body is wired for anxiety, because in your world, if you let your guard down for even a second, something will snatch you up and turn you into a mid-morning snack. Your heart races at over 200 beats per minute, your stress hormones are through the roof, and you basically live in a constant state of panic. Sleep? Barely. Rest? Never heard of it. You are an over-caffeinated insomniac with trust issues, and nature has made it very clear that this is the only way to survive. And then, just when you think things can't get any worse, puberty hits. And this is where the real nightmare begins. You've spent your whole life suffering, but nothing prepares you for what's coming next. Because as soon as you hit sexual maturity, your body kicks into self-destruct mode. The moment puberty hits, your already terrible life somehow nosedives into pure chaos. Your body floods with testosterone, and suddenly, the only thing you can think about is mating. Food? Forget it. Sleep? Who needs it? Safety? Irrelevant. Your brain has been hijacked by a single, all-consuming mission. Pass on your genes before you die. And trust me, you are absolutely going to die. For the next 2 weeks, your life becomes a non-stop, high-speed mating frenzy. You don't eat. You don't sleep. You don't even take a break to groom yourself, which, let's be honest, is starting to make you look like a tiny, overworked, sleep-deprived goblin. Your fur starts falling out in patches, your body becomes riddled with infections, and your stress hormones skyrocket to levels that would put any human into immediate cardiac arrest. But none of that matters, because you are in a mating war zone. You and every other male Swamp Antechinus are running on fumes, desperate to find as many females as possible before your body completely gives out. And let's not forget the competition. Other males are just as desperate, and fights break out constantly. If you're not busy trying to mate, you're busy fighting other exhausted, half-dead rodents who are just as crazy as you are. The whole thing is like an extremely unhinged, swamp-themed version of Black Friday shopping, except instead of TVs, you're all just trying not to die before passing on your genes. And the females? They aren't exactly impressed by your efforts. They have the luxury of being picky, because unlike you, they're not on a suicide mission. They'll mate with multiple males, choosing the strongest ones, while you and the others continue your death march through the swamp, pushing your bodies far beyond their limits. By the end of the mating season, your body is in complete meltdown mode. Your immune system has collapsed, leaving you open to every possible infection, parasite, and disease. Your once healthy fur is now patchy and matted. Your organs are literally shutting down from the insane levels of stress. And worst of all, you don't even get to die peacefully. Instead, you waste away slowly, staggering around like a sleep-deprived zombie until your body finally gives up and collapses. And then, that's it. Game over. Every single male Swamp Antechinus dies. Every single one. It's a biological death sentence written into your DNA. You are doomed to live a short, frantic, miserable life, only to be wiped off the face of the earth as soon as you fulfill your evolutionary purpose. Meanwhile, the females? Oh, they're just fine. They carry the babies for a while, give birth to another batch of doomed little jelly beans, and then the cycle starts all over again. You never get to see your offspring, never get a moment to rest, never even get to enjoy a peaceful old age. Because old age? That's not a thing for you. The Swamp Antechinus does not get to grow wise with experience. You are born into stress, you live in stress, and you die in stress. And the worst part? You don't even have time to realize how bad your life actually is. You're too busy panicking, starving, and trying to mate yourself to death. While the males have all dramatically self-destructed in the world's worst mating season aftermath, the females are left with a different kind of suffering. Single motherhood. And unlike the males, they don't get to just keel over and die when things get tough. No, they have to stick around and raise the next generation of tiny, stress-ridden nightmares. First, there's pregnancy. It lasts a grand total of 3 weeks, which, in human terms, would be like getting pregnant on a Monday and giving birth by Friday. Not exactly a smooth process, but nature doesn't care about comfort, so ready or not, it's baby time. Giving birth is where things get really unfair. The babies are born ridiculously underdeveloped, blind, hairless, and looking like something that fell out of a science experiment. But despite being little more than twitching jelly beans, they already have one mission: grab a teat or die. And because mom has a strict 10-teat limit, anyone who doesn't get one is straight up out of luck. And does she help them? Nope, not her problem. If you didn't get a seat at the milk buffet, you might as well start writing your will. For the next few months, the lucky survivors cling to their mom like a pack of tiny, bald hitchhikers. She drags them around everywhere, trying to hunt, escape predators, and not completely lose her mind while hauling an entire litter on her body. By the time they finally let go, she's a wreck. She's exhausted, starving, and running purely on survival instincts. But her job isn't done yet. She still has to teach them how to survive before she finally keels over. And then, just as she reaches the peak of her suffering, she dies. Yep, after all that effort, all that struggle, she meets the exact same fate as the males. Worn out, sick, and ready to drop.